the most important thing you can do is focus on what you control, which is your connection with your customer. No matter how unpredictable external factors are, you can stay really resilient based off of like how well you understand and communicate and serve your customers. Customers that are really loyal to you, they're going to stick through the hard times with you. And because they feel seen and valued and heard.
Welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Toolbox Expert's Perspective. Joining us today, we have Anna Westerholm, all the way over from the West Coast. So really excited to have you on. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
So Anna, you're the Chief Experience Officer at Artifact Uprising. You're a very early employee. Maybe talk us through your career journey and then talk us through the journey of Artifact Uprising a little bit and kind of where you guys started to where you guys are today.
Yeah, I got my career started in printing, actually. I joined a commercial printing facility. They had 72 locations nationwide, and I was in what was called like a leadership development program. And you had kind of two career tracks. You were either on track to go into sales, and kind of at the time, there was this idea that printing was this dying industry. And so they were really motivated to get young people in. And then the second career track was like management, and they would essentially train you to become a president of one of their companies. And so in my journey, I met the founders of Artifact Uprising. They had this cool idea for a photo goods company. At the time, you were kind of in between what you could get on like a Shutterfly versus like what you could buy at a pro lab, which cost thousands of dollars. And they just felt like there was this gap in the market for a really beautiful, timeless photo book that was high quality, made of sustainable materials, and at a price point that was reasonable and something that customers could access more broadly. And so voila, Artifact Uprising was created. Our name kind of stands for this idea that most of our photos nowadays live on our digital devices. And there's something really special about printing those and making something tangible out of it. And so it's the idea of like an artifact uprising, right? Bringing back those like tangible pieces of photo goods. And then the story of Artifact. So we were founded in 2012 by three founders in the Denver, Colorado area. They were photographers, and they just had this idea for a beautiful product. They started making books out of their basement. And as they were getting traction, they brought people on. I met them when I was at the printing company. And about a year and a half into our relationship, they said, hey, why don't you come join our team full time? And so I was probably around, like not counting the founders, employee number 5. And since then, we've grown. Today we're about 55 employees. We've been through 3 transactions since that point in time, just continuing. It was very bootstrapped early on, but since then we were owned by a Silicon Valley company who was venture backed for a couple years. And then we did a management buyout and brought the business back to Denver and did that for a couple years. And then in 2022, had another successful transaction now we're owned by private equity.
Cool. What a journey. And you've been there for the whole decade, and you're the Chief Experience Officer. Do you maybe want to talk to us a bit about what your purview, like what's the scope of work that you cover on the kind of day-to-day? Like what are the areas of the business that you own?
So experience officer, it's very broad, right? And it can mean a lot of things. I think most traditionally it means UX or the on-site experience. But for us at Artifact, it's really about the physical product experience. So I work with the team to develop all of our physical product. I lead the supply chain and logistics team. I lead the merchandising team, and then also lead the B2B and design services teams where we work with businesses or customers who need help kind of like designing the products for them. And so it's a broad team. I would say in being part of a company for 10 years, I've had roles in almost every single department. I led product and engineering for a little while. I think the only team in the organization I haven't intimately been responsible for or with is the marketing team. But outside of that, it's kind of small companies, you wear a lot of hats. So that's been me.
Cool. As we know, you're speaking at the upcoming e-tail Palm Spring event. Maybe talk to us a bit about what's the topic you're going through, and don't give away too much, but if you can give us a bit of a teaser on exactly what you want to cover there, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, the panel that I'm speaking on is focused on growth in uncertain times. And it's really interesting because I would say over the last 5 years, one thing that's really true is that uncertainty has become like the norm. We need to be really proactive in how we're thinking and planning. And so, this idea of operational agility and like, how can you do that at scale? And what does it mean to actually be operational agile are some of the topics that we're going to be speaking to. We actually just met as a panel yesterday and we're kind of briefing on our ideas. And I'm really excited because we've got a lot of expertise in different companies. And so I think there will be just a lot of story sharing about how each company has grown and what were the lessons that we've learned throughout that phase of growth.
Love it. And I know one of the topics is around using technology to have near real time analysis of data. Talk to me a bit about your journey there. Obviously, over the last 10 years, the retail landscape for technology has changed a lot. A lot of people wanted to build everything, then it went to we want to buy everything, and now it's kind of somewhere in the weird middle. So maybe talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, talk about technology changing. I remember early on, we didn't even have any data analytics at Artifact Uprising. And the first time we implemented real time data, we were just like, okay, what do we do with it now? Like, you really can look at it through two lenses. It's a lens to understand what's going on in the business, and then a lever in regards to like, how can you be more intentional about your decision making? What's nice about real time data is that you're making decisions as close to them happening as possible. And I actually have a colleague who she has kind of taught me this philosophy around like you want data to inform your decisions, but you want intuition to guide them. And it's really like this balance between evidence and instinct that keeps our strategies effective and building upon that customer experience. And so data is a tool, and more that you can get that data in real time, the more you can speed is in your favor to make changes and apply the learnings.
I love that. And I think when it comes to retail, there's a few different types of purchases. There's obviously the very clear Amazon experience. You want a cart to buy toilet paper and whatever, paper for your house. And then you have more personalization, something that is a bit more, call it like a custom artifact, right? Like maybe a custom calendar or something like that. Obviously, folks help people create custom products. How have you scaled personalization as you've gotten bigger? I'm assuming the early days, maybe you help the customer at the final, like hand-to-hand combat. Everyone in the startup does that. But yeah, how have you kind of scaled that same experience as it's gotten from a smaller to a much larger scale?
Yeah, as you mentioned, our products are really personalized in nature. And so the person building the products, they're uploading photos, they're selecting customizations that are to their unique preferences. So when you have such a personalized product, it's really important to carry that personalization into how we communicate and how we inspire our customers. Because ultimately, we want them to trust us in the sense that they're telling their story through our products. The best way that we can build that trust is giving them a really personalized experience through the whole customer journey. And the way we do that is like serving up content and products that are relevant to them. So, for example, we have a lot of brides that come to us for their wedding album. We're going to serve them an experience and content that is specific to that stage of life. On the flip side, you might have a mom like me who's got two kids, and I'm always trying to think of like, what's the next gift I can give grandparents because I got all these photos of my kids. Grandparents love getting photos of kids. And so I just want to be inspired with like, what's the new cool gift to give? And so we have to build those customer journeys for those different segments of customers. And we're able to do that at scale because we dig into like, who are our customers? Where are they finding us? How are they shopping on site? And then making sure we have enough customers in each segment to kind of like fill each journey. So we're not going too niche and we're not going too broad. And then luckily for us at Artifact Uprising, we've been really intentional about investing in personalization, likely because that's what our product is, through technology and creative. It takes a lot to like serve up those different journeys from a creative perspective. And you do have to intentionally make the investment for it. And I'd say like it just pays off in the long run. Personalization is so impactful. And for us in particular, it's driving an emotional connection. And that's the heart of our brand.
I love it. And talk to us a bit about going global from a sales standpoint. Is most of your sales coming out of the US? Do you plan on keeping it like that? If so, why? And talk to us a bit about having to tap into different markets.
Yeah, right now we really are focused on the US market. It's really hard to build a supply chain with such customizable product. And so doing that in Canada or in Australia, which are two markets that if you don't live in the States, you can come to our website and you can buy our products. Absolutely. I would say we have a very small customer segmentation in those areas, but it's not going to be the best experience, right? Like the shipping costs are high. Our products are all specialty made. We are a smaller company. And so like when you're building one-off products, there's economies of scale and volume. And if we're really focusing globally, we probably wouldn't get that by spreading our volume all different places. So right now, logistically, and it takes a lot to like serve those different markets from a marketing perspective too. And we're just not there from a resourcing perspective. Will it change in the future? I think there's a huge opportunity for global sales, but Artifact Uprising, we're just not there yet.
Yeah, and that was actually going to lead into my next question around supply chain. So, how do you actually curate a supply chain? Let's forget globally for a second, just within the US. Like, how do you fulfill an order 1 minute in LA and then in the other minute in, I don't know, like New York or even further east and ensure that it's the same level of quality?
Yeah, we have a couple partners that we work with throughout the United States, and they're all kind of strategically located in different areas of the country to kind of serve more of those local areas. And then they're all specialized in their individual products that they build. And it's a fine balance between like, hey, are we going to get the best product coming out of this company, but it's a product that has to ship from New York all the way to California. And we're just constantly looking at it and we're constantly talking to new partners and we're constantly looking at like who can make what. And then our operations team is always going in and being like, hey, is it being made to the standards? Is it the quality what we want? And just the partners we work with are almost as closely integrated into our company as you can be, but still being two different companies. And so it's just a lot of back and forth of like, what's possible? How are shipping carriers performing? Do we need to route something to a different facility? And just keeping your eyes on it on a daily basis.
Do you have any examples that come to mind? Obviously, we don't have to go into specifics of names or categories where maybe as you folks were scaling and growing quickly, especially maybe in the 2020, 2021 era, where quality did suffer temporarily and you had to kind of pull a few things back and fix them? Or do you feel like you always got ahead of it?
Yeah. So what's cool about us is we've always prioritized really premium materials because we want our products to last and the longevity of our products is really important. And so we have to pick really intentional materials to do that. And what was great for us is during that 2020, 2021 period, those materials were not hard to get. It was like the more commoditized materials that were really hard to get, and people were having to shift and change materials. And for us, our supply chain stayed really consistent. We did have issues with like logistics. I think everybody did because ecom was like booming. And we hired a role that was like, hey, you got to specifically look at logistics and decide which partner is going to be best for what location and what's shipping. And that I think shipping prices continue to rise. And so it's like something that we're constantly keeping our pulse on. But material wise, we were really lucky during that period of time.
That's really cool. And as we look to wrap up, I'm really, really excited to ask you the last question around some of the key trends for 2025. What's kind of top of mind for you, and what do you think should be top of mind for other retail leaders?
I think in an environment that's ever changing, particularly with uncertainty around economics or new generations gaining buying power or continued potential supply chain disruptions, the most important thing you can do is focus on what you control, which is your connection with your customer. No matter how unpredictable external factors are, you can stay really resilient based off of like how well you understand and communicate and serve your customers. Customers that are really loyal to you, they're going to stick through the hard times with you. And because they feel seen and value and heard. And so, yeah, just like continue to build those relationships with your customers, get great customer feedback loops going, talk to as many customers every day as you can. Like that's what we live by. Artifact, our CEO is like, I want everybody in our company to talk to 10 customers a month. And do we always get to do that? not always, but it's a great goal to strive from. And so, yeah, just really focus on your customer, make sure you're meeting their needs and you understand what their needs are. And I think that will prove to be a really strong foundation through uncertain times.
I love it, Anna. Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been a phenomenal episode.
Thank you.
The E-Commerce Toolbox Expert Perspectives is brought to you by Noibu. To find out more about Noibu and how we can help you debug your e-commerce site and rocket your revenue, visit www.noibu.com. That's Noibu.com. And then make sure to search for the E-Commerce Toolbox Expert Perspectives on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and click subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Noibu, thanks for listening.